Hey everybody. So today is the first video in our new series that we're doing right here called the Book of Psalms. And basically what we're doing is we're just diving into and dissecting the Book of Psalms one chapter at a time, one verse at a time. So let's hop to it. For the very beginning, we're going to start in Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. And we're going to emphasize verse number 2. But Psalm 1, 1 and 2. It says, "Blessed is the one who does not walk in the step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers." But verse number 2 says, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night." The reason I wanted to highlight this is simply because in the Old Testament, God's laws, God's command, they were never, us as man, we were never good enough to keep God's laws and God's commands. So literally, as far as the Old Testament is concerned, God's laws and his commands were meant to be like a flashlight to shine a light on our sin and on our unrighteousness. God designed it on purpose that way. He did it on purpose so he could unveil his great love through Jesus Christ later on. So when I read verses like this, it says basically, blessed are those who delight in the law of the Lord and who meditate on his law day and night. When I read those verses like that for New Testament Christians under the new covenant that came through Jesus, I literally read, and this is the modern day translation of this verse, blessed are those who delight in the law of the Lord. That basically means that Jesus is the fulfillment of all the law. He's the reason for the law. He is the only one that could keep the law. I sit here and think, blessed is the one who delights themselves in Jesus and who meditates on Jesus day and night. Jesus being the very reason and the fulfillment of all the law, the only one that could make God's commands real on earth. He was the one that was able to do it all. We could not. So when I read these verses, I read, blessed is the one who delights himself in Jesus and thinks about Jesus day and night. Think about Jesus, love Jesus, talk about him in the morning, talk about him in the evening, talk about him to your friends and your family, talk about Jesus everywhere you go. Think about him all day long. That is what the Bible calls being blessed.